I welcome each one of you who has joined us for today's community show. On this show, we talk about matters pertaining to communities in Uganda. This show is convened by Center for Constitutional Governance and Civic Space TV. I'm your host, Martin. On this show today, we are going to talk about going back to school. As you know, Uganda, the Ugandan education system, mainly the primary and secondary education system, is divided into a number of terms, and of course, first divided into academic years and then divided into terms. The academic year starts in January and ends in December or thereabout. So it literally follows the calendar year. Unlike primary and secondary universities, all set their calendar years independently, and there are different calendar years for different universities. The most common one is the calendar year that begins from August, September, up to around May, June the following year. And so in this week's show, we want to talk about students going back to school for the next term. So in one calendar year, there are 3 terms for primary and secondary. And students so far have had their first term, they've completed their first term, and they're going for their second term, after which they will go for their third term. Third term usually has a number of activities, including final exams for candidates and those ones going to next classes. For now, they're entering the second term. That is also usually long, it's longer, and usually activity driven. In this show, we want to evaluate how students have utilized holidays. We then want to proceed and evaluate how schools are ready to welcome these students and pupils, and also to continue. In the midst of these hardships, we take those ones that take care of to school. Parents, guardians, benefactors, name it. We want to examine how they are ready to handle. So I'll ask all of you to introduce yourselves, beginning with Kule, Denize, and then Madreen, in that order.
Okay, thank you so much, Martin. My name is Expeditol Kule, and I'm a student from Kampala University. So I'll be, I think, taking position of the student, and I'll represent both the primary, actually from the university level.
Thank you very much, the host of today, and the rest. Good morning. I see Kula is off, but my name is Denize Asasira, and I'm a teacher of secondary. I teach languages, literature, and English. I teach at Christ Aid Secondary School, a school in Fort Portal. I'm so glad to be here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Martin, for hosting us. My name is Madreen. I'm a parent. I have children. I have responsibilities. And I think this is a good time for us to discuss about children going back to school on Monday. Yeah, I'll be happy to share my views with other panelists. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll begin with you, Madreen. You know, as a parent and as a guardian, benefactor, name it. Please explain to us how it has been like to have young people during this holiday. How have you interacted with them? How have you interfaced with them? How has it been generally?
The holidays have not been easy, having the factor that economically we are not doing good as a country, and I believe many people are not financially well. I think since COVID-19, we've not been able to recover well economically. So yeah, during the holidays, kids are at home, things are expensive, foodstuffs are expensive. They're always asking for this and this. So it's not easy having kids at home. Yeah, it is challenging, and yeah, that's what I can say for the holiday.
Do you think now they are prepared to go to school after having that time with you?
Yeah, I think our children are prepared, though I think on the side of the parents, I think some of us are not really prepared to take them back to school. But I think the children are prepared. And maybe during the holidays, I didn't mention this. There's a lot that has been going on. Watching TV, if you've not been so careful as a parent to regulate your children from all these activities that happen at home, TVs, and then there are a lot of soaps that are going on. There's TikTok. You find very young children on TikTok. So the environment has been not been so good compared to how we grew up. Yeah, I think we didn't have this kind of environment where children are really exposed a lot to social media, to a lot of things where they learn new things on social media. The behaviors are not so. As a parent, if you don't regulate what kids do with their phones, when they watch TV, I think that the behaviors they're going to carry back to school might not be good. Yeah, in that case, if you've not been so keen as a parent. So those who have been so keen watching their children, what they do on phone, when they do what, engaging them with their economic activities. No, I mean activities at home, helping out. Yeah, I think they will return back well.
Okay, thank you very much, Madreen. Now over to you, Denize. As a teacher, these young people are coming back to school. Some have already gone back to school. First, if you are a parent or a guardian, you could share with us your experience in the holidays, but then tell us how you feel when students are returning to school. How do you feel as a parent, as a teacher?
Thank you so much, Martin. So to a larger extent, I'm a teacher, but all teachers are parents. So I don't have children of my own, but I'm still a guardian and a parent in one way or another. So for the holiday, we literally didn't have a holiday because we still had holiday teaching that was going on, but this was for basically the candidates. But still the holidays are always a tricky time where we are always worried as teachers, as parents, because in the first place, the teaching was taking place, but then security of these children going back home. Just like Madreen has said, we are in a tricky generation, in an era where these children are so much exposed. So anything can happen. So tracing them back on how they have gone back home, because most of them do this calling when it comes to holiday lessons. So it is always a tricky time, beneficial in one way or another, but then monitoring this get away is another to be looked into so much when it comes to then with going back to school, depending on how we broke off for last holiday with syndicated, not going home with report cards. So the economic crisis is really alarming and rampant. I'm like at the end of the.
Okay, Kule, are you able to Denize, we shall come back to you. Kule, please introduce yourself and share with us your experience as a student, and also how you think the experience of different young people has been like during these holidays, particularly holidays that have been in the midst of the economic turmoil that is ongoing.
All right, thank you so much. I first apologize abruptly, and it is so unfortunate that it was due to network issues and power issues. Martin and the colleagues, talking on the experience I've had during this holiday, it has been a quite long and short holiday, where I have observed that most of the students, especially the candidate class students, they have been going back for holiday studies, especially those ones that are coming from nearby schools, maybe those ones, and those ones who are coming also from far schools. Maybe they have been studying from Kampala, and they have come to areas like Asese. They have always joined their colleagues in studying during the holiday. However much it also requires some simple payment, but those ones who have also not been in candidate classes, they have been in position to help their parents here and there, as I speak and give experience from the grassroots levels of areas such as Kasese in remote areas. They have been helping their parents in doing different activities, both the economic and domestic activities, to ensure that at least they can be in position to raise in something small that can help them go back to school. However, some other students who have also been in the holiday, they have tried to work their money, and they call it special pocket money. That is the term they are referring to it. And these people, some students, especially the boys, for them, they have always come for holidays and to work their own or their special money. By all ways, they have activities they do, whether they are going to make breaks, whether they're going to do whatever the case of any activity they do, in as far as it can earn them a living. I've also seen that category. Yeah, basically that is what I can give out, and yeah, the experience has been good. I have observed those observations from the students who have been in the holiday and preparing to go back to schools. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much. Now we are going to the part of students are going to school, and it's a hard economic time. How ready are we as parents, as guardians, to facilitate or to support these students who are going back to school? Madreen, how ready are we, in your opinion? You could also share your experience on how ready you are or unready to for this coming term or for this coming academic period.
Thank you, Martin. The readiness of parents, I think, might differ, because I think that some parents who are well off, and then when you look at the common person, there are some parents who are not so well off. So the readiness might differ, but I think the biggest percentage of parents are not fully ready, because some schools do ask parents to pay full fees, and then on top of the fees, you have requirements which are also very expensive and very many. You have transport issues, and then you have also to get requirements for the child, personal requirements. So basically, I think the biggest percentage of parents in these economic hard times are not fully ready to take back kids to school. And I think on usually Mondays, as the first day of reporting back to school, will not be are not so busy days. So you'll find that most of the children will report back next week. because this week parents are still struggling to at least pay, have tuition, get some or a few requirements. So this week, we might not see a lot of children reporting back Monday, Tuesday, but we might find several reporting back at the end of the week or early next week, showing how people are not ready economically. There are hard times. So I think, yeah, that's my opinion as parent.
Thank you very much. Denize, should we also say, because parents are crying, is it right to say that schools are also likely to face the same challenge in taking back students or welcoming back students? The same challenge of things being expensive, the economic situation being hard. Could we also say that the schools are likely going to be affected, or the schools are being affected, and that could also be a hurdle in the number of students, the number of pupils that are reporting?
So as you know that it is the parents that make schools. So when the prices and everything, it also affects the school. So it makes even the school, some schools not ready. Unlike some few schools where you find their financial budgets are balancing occasions, and those are the very few schools, but still most of the schools are also not ready to receive students, because when the students don't come and they don't pay in the school fees, you find that there's no based on even last term, most of the private schools broke off earlier because they couldn't feed the children until the end of the term because of the prices of food. Most of the students haven't still paid school fees to nil balance because the parents cannot manage providing the requirements for these students at the same time paying the full fees. And in Uganda at large, I don't think there is a school that pays less than 500 when it comes to boarding schools. Even if it's deep and fast-raced, the students might be ready to go back to school because for them, most of them look forward to going back to school. But then when it comes to parents and schools, the readiness is really not there. It is a very small percentage because the economy is very hard. Just like Madreen was saying, you find that you have no school allows, most of the schools require students to have paid 50% of school fees by the time they report to school. And on top of that 50%, their requirements as per the school requires, and then there are personal requirements that a student has to come with. So you find that the least a parent has to be having pocket-wise something like 1 point something or 2. So when you find that a parent, for example, has 2-3 kids, it is very difficult. So that is why
I now want to come to you, Kule. How hard do you think this current economic crisis, the current economic problems affect students? Please paint for us a picture of the extent to which hard times, lack of money in the economy, high inflation, high cost of living, of course, which means high cost of living. Explain to us how it, know the other affects students, pupils, and generally people who are going to school.
I lost you. I think I can submit.
Yes, but you get the question.
Yes, I got it, please. All right. We, the pupils, we are the people who suffer most. And they always say, in a game of an egg and a stone, even if an egg hits the stone strongly, it is the egg that really suffers. Now, this is a game of parents and schools versus students, or we, the pupils. We are the very people who are getting most of the challenges when it comes to the economic status, due to the fact that all these things do happen and again they fall on us. When a parent goes to school to negotiate with the school, is looking forward to ensure that the student keeps in class. Now, in scenarios of schools where they prioritize a student or a pupil to pay at least 0.5% of the tuition or of the money, let it be school fees, before entering the class, that becomes so and very difficult due to the fact that most of the parents may not have gotten ample time to be in position to get this amount of money, in addition to other scholastic materials that we always require, we as students. Then secondly, it affects us in a way that when the economic standards of our homes are not all that well off to ensure that we go to school in the very time that has been given, sometimes we don't afford due to the fact that we don't have the money. And when you look back at our homes where we come from, indeed you find yourself the money is not there. And then this affects us in a way that you report to school very late. You report to school quite late, in maybe in a period of 1 to 2 weeks, whereby you find some schools when they have already given out the content, or when they have already covered what you cannot be in position to do what? To bring back. You can be in position to write, that is copying notes, but you may not be in position to be at the same place with the person whom they explained, who attended those classes, who attended those lectures. So we, the students, we always get challenges in that very sector when it comes to economic crisis. We are the very people who are mostly affected, because we are affected in those two ways, where a parent may not be in position to provide, but the schools, for them, they will keep up with those ones that are there. And also what I'm requesting from the schools that could be there, at least they should be in position to listen to parents. Some parents always visit schools and tell them, please, at least give me more 2 weeks. But those 2 weeks or a week that you will ask, they'll tell you, please, we are not also going to be in position to be with your kid. With those 2 weeks, you can let the kid be home, maybe after getting that 50%, he or she can come with it, and then we shall be in position to accommodate him. When they speak that, it means also they are also having issues with maybe the feeding and some other issues like payment for teachers, all those. So we the students, we are the very people who are always affected in this, and we always pray that there should always be good terms between the schools and the parents in terms of negotiation for students, at least to be in position to be at school as parents struggle hard to ensure that at least they get in something. Yeah, over to you, Martin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I mean, indeed, the students are affected largely because of the ongoing economic situation, which is indeed also affecting the schools. It is affecting the parents. It will definitely also affect the schools in terms of delivering and also accommodating the students. Many schools in Uganda are boarding schools, but even though the schools still require teachers, and teachers, of course, government or schools have to spend on them. Governments or the different owners have to spend on them to facilitate them, but also the material, name it. There are very many costs that are involved in each and every school. So when we have the economic situation terrible, when we have salaries of teachers not paid, when we have salaries of different staff in a school not paid, it disproportionately affects students because the staff, the teachers are not going to teach, they're not able to teach. And at the end of the day, it's the students that lose, which again affects the students, it affects the quality of education, and it affects the future of this nation. So I want to come back to you, Denize. What do you think schools can do in the meantime to patch up the gaps, to live within these hard times, to ensure that there is continuity of education, there is continuity of provision of the service of education, but also managing the meager resources that are available? What should schools do from your point of view?
So,
Don't
from my
say-
point of view, most of the parents that cannot manage the 50%, there's some parents that come to school and they talk to the administration and they're given grace period. So there's always that understanding between some schools and
But now, to follow up on that question, and this is over to you, Madreen. What do you think schools should do to manage this situation, and while at the same time continuing to provide education to the young people, to the people who are studying? We know that, yes, money is little, but how do schools continue to manage, this situation and continue to make available this service? Denize, is it possible to continue contributing?
Yeah, so I was saying that some schools are good enough to give grace period, so some schools don't give grace period. So depending on the income that they have received from those that are able, you find that they usually bridge the gap of helping the parents that are not able to raise the 50%, and they give them a grace period and accommodate the students for, let me say, 2 weeks, 2.5. There are some schools that still don't give grace period, and that is a very big challenge when it comes to parents, because every parent is able to raise the 50% or 60% that is required at the beginning of the term. So I would suggest that the economic situation is very alarming. So if some schools would still be lenient enough and they say that instead of the 50%, even if a student had a 40%, they can cope up with these students and they give the parents some little bit of some time to raise the remaining percentage. But then still the challenge comes back to the parents that don't heed to the policy. Yes, they sign the grace period papers. They say that within 3 weeks, but then it will run to 4 weeks, then 5 weeks, because the situation at home is not good. The economy is rough in terms of personal needs and necessities. So it is a two-way traffic thing. If the students if the schools are lenient enough to give these parents grace period, then they should stand by their word. They should heed to the policy so that at least the schools can run, and the students are not affected, and the parents can also improvise and get get the school fees by the time the grace period ends. I think that is the only way we can help each other in terms of being teachers and stakeholders and parents at the same time to make sure that we fit in this economy that is really rough. Thank you, Martin. Over to you.
Very much. I want to ask the same thing to you, Madreen. How do you think that schools should adjust, provide managing with the meager resources that are available, pay up the school dues?
Thank you, Martin. As Denize has mentioned, I think also Kule talked about it, negotiations between the parents and the schools. I think some schools, there are schools that do that. They give a grace period to parents. Because I, for one, when I was in school, also my parents could not, maybe in the beginning, you go, they give you some time, you pay, like that. So I think the schools that are doing that, talking with the parents and then giving grace periods, are really doing a great thing, helping each other so that the students do not lose out. And then maybe I think the schools need to talk with the parents on how best they can do this. Maybe if schools can have a sustainable, something that they can get some income from, like the farms. There are some, when I was in school, we used to have a school farm, a school garden, where we could do gardening. Senior ones, you go to the garden, you do digging, you plant maize with potatoes. Yeah, so at least that kind of thing was helping out in terms of the meals. So the schools would go to their own gardens and get food to give the students, the pupils, food instead of just buying food. So during these economic times, I think that would be a good solution if schools had something, at least an asset that can support the school in that in such issues, in such challenges like food. They can easily get their own food. Yeah, I think it can help out if we go back. Yeah, when I was in school, that's what we used to do. So you would at least save the money that would be meant for buying food, flour. You would use it for other things and then have all children come in school and not be left behind. Yeah, I think that's what I can say. And then maybe also the government can help. Maybe mostly the government schools. We have private schools, but the most affected schools are the government schools. Most of these government schools are not being funded. You go to rural areas, these children do not have food, a meal at school, there's no porridge. So students end up spending a full day on empty stomachs. If you're not able to carry something from home, you'll spend a full day without eating. So we need government involvement in this, basically for the government schools. The funding should be directly going to the schools and not, the corruption is too much these days. So when you're to compare the government schools and the private schools, I think private schools are doing are better off than the government schools. So there is also a gap with the government. There are a lot of gaps with the government funding to these government aided schools. Yeah, that's my submission, Martin.
Thank you very much. As we near the close of this conversation, Kule, I'd want to hear from you. What advice do you have to students, schools, and the different stakeholders on how to manage this this time of reporting, but also this time where many things seem not to be going well economically, with high inflation, standard of living is high, many people are not being paid their salaries. So please give us you could give Brenda your advice in your closing remarks to the different stakeholders in this education sector on how to move forward.
Okay, thank you, Martin, for giving me another opportunity to also add my voice to other voices that have been speaking. So now, the advice, before I give the advice, I also want to hint on the issue that Madreen has just talked about over the government schools and private schools. I believe in rural areas like where I come from, 95% of the students on government schools come from families that cannot be in position to afford private education, or they cannot be in position to send their students to what? To private schools. So also government has a lot to do in position to cater for all what is needed, because it provides it in Article 18 of the Constitution that the state shall provide or shall promote free compulsory basic education. So let them do their best in position to cater for those children, or to motivate the teachers so that they can be in position to portray or to give or to deliver what is necessary. Because most of the parents always try their level best to ensure that their kids study from international and other private schools to get the best or quality education, as it is the best, as it is the way to go. Even SDG 4 talks about it, the quality education. Now, coming to my side, the advice I can give, the advice I'm going to give is, yes, the parents needs to play their role to maximum. Teachers or schools also needs to play their role to maximum. We, the students, we are ready. But as we are also ready, we have also seen that things are not easy when it comes to, economic-wise, things are not easy. Therefore, we need also to try our level best to ensure that we utilize the little money that we have been given. We should go and be in position to study and do what is necessary, other than playing around the money, because now we have seen where it comes from. It's not really easy for the parents to get this money. Now, on the side of the parents, yeah, education is the greatest investment you can do or you can give to your children. And I beg that all let the parents play their role, let the parents be in position to do what they can to ensure that at least we get back to schools. And then schools, my advice to schools is when a parent comes to negotiate with you, indeed, it means things are tough or things are not easy on his or her side. Let also the schools be listening. Schools, let them listen to parents. And parents, let us also do what? Let them also be in position to provide or to fulfill their commitment. And when given a grace period, please, I beg that let us also try our level best to ensure that we do maximally, or we do to the grace period. If we are given 2 weeks, let those 2 weeks be successful. And we all wish to see education moving heights for everyone to achieve in this nation, because without education, I think we wouldn't even be here speaking about this. Otherwise,
very much. I'll ask Denize and Madreen to also give their parting shots. Over to you, Denize. A word of encouragement to the students, a clarion call to the stakeholders, any.
So when Kola and Madreen mentioned something about government and private schools, something came to my mind. There's been this DIT, Directorate of Industry Training thing that has been going on as per the new curriculum, but it is not being given a lot of attention and a lot of need as it should be given. And this is something that would help to curb many problems, especially when it comes to the students who are unable to complete for example, the Form 4 level of education. So these certificates that they would gain would really help them at least to get a job out there, and they make some money to help them finish their courses or their level of education where parents cannot be able to step in 100%. Then conclusively, I want to also advise the students, the young children or this young generation. We get these holidays, but some of these students don't make good use of them. Just like Madreen was mentioning, they start TikToking, it is watching from morning to evening, and it is not really any beneficial. So at least let these young children try to manage the time that they are given in holiday productively. I love it when it comes to boys. I'm a lady and I know, but boys have a way of gaining extra income in the holidays. I don't know, most of them find it very easy to do the tough work, and it helps them raising the pocket money or the special money, like they call it, and it helps them in one way or another. So if a parent is able to provide the part of school fees and they cannot give you pocket money, you can also at least provide yourself the necessities from what you have done around during the holiday. Then another thing is the project that we usually do at school. The new curriculum introduced projects, and these students really make beautiful products out of the, some of them in the different subjects that they tackle. So instead of us keeping them at school and they sit there without doing a thing, why don't we allow these students to auction them and maybe get a specific time and put them out there so that they can maybe sell them and get something that will help them as per the school fees or personal necessities are concerned, because it wouldn't make sense if we keep piling up these project products that they are making, yet some of these students come from a home background, school fees, and at the same time provide all the necessities that require them to have. Moral support is also very much needed. There are some parents who I find they are unable to provide, yes, and even their children are aware. But then the way we talk to these children, we should put them in a position where they know that the situation is not good, because most of them are old enough. Maybe for the young ones that might not be able to recognize what we are going on with as a country in terms of the economy, but then telling the way we morally support to the children, the morals that they really portray to the parents, because this is a very, very critical period of time where you will find, I've had incidences, or we've all had incidences of some children committing suicide, some parents neglecting. Then in conclusion, I head also to the government. If there is an ear out there that can really step in. The parliament at one point in time had stepped in and they raised a debate on how they can curb on the issue of school fees. But I don't know where it ended from. It ended in thin air, just like that. So there are still some government schools that don't receive the funding, like Madreen mentioned, and at the same time, these schools still put their own kind of money to this structure, which puts these parents in a very, very tight spot, because most of the government schools offer education to these people from the very humble background. So if these schools say that, for example, we are paying 100 for lunch, and these students cannot even manage paying, let me say, the 25,000 or the that is supposed to run them as the money that is required to be paid in order to maybe access education and so on and so forth. So it puts them in a very tight. Education is the key. So if they implement things and they don't, they just raise them and they don't put them into implementation, it affects us as a circle, starting with the students, to the parents, to the school. Otherwise, I submit.
Thank you very much, Denize. And over to you, Madreen, in a few minutes. Your parting shots.
Thank you, Martin. I'll conclude by encouraging the students, our children, please, when you go back to school, let it be school. Avoid the bad groups, be good children, do your studying, and mind where you're coming from. And also to the parents, always talk to your children, let them know how you're able to support them, let them know your inequalities, let them know where you can and where you cannot, so that when they're there, they're not looking at other children buying, other rich kids buying these, and then they also go in for that, which will lead to stealing and then other bad vices at school. So we need to encourage our children, tell them the real facts, the reality on the ground at home. Yes, and then also to the government, the teachers need to be paid, because however much we push as the parents, we try to push our children to school and there are no motivating factors at school. So the government should also play a big part, as the parents and also the schools play their part. I submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madreen. Thank you very much to our dear panelists, conversationists who have been on this conversation. I thank you for being a part of this show. I've been your host, Martin. I wish a successful successful academic term to all the young people and all those other people who are going to school, young people in primary, secondary, and university, people who are continuing with school, some who are also already having exams. I wish you success in your exams and in this term. I wish success to the teachers as they undertake this journey, as they undertake these responsibilities, and I also wish the parents good sail through, that you are able as parents to afford and to take care of the needs, the educational needs of your those you take care of, and your children, and those ones for whom you are guardians, name it. And this takes me to my concluding statement. It's high time that government prioritized education as our #1 capital in this country. We may not advance as a country if we do not give priority to key sectors such as education. Because as you know, education is a big employer. Education is a big empowerer. It develops capacity of people to be innovative, to be thinkers. It is the fulcrum of this society. It is the fulcrum of our economy. And therefore, we need capitalization of that sector by government. We need prioritization. Teachers should not go without pay. Politicians are spending a lot of money on their own welfare, and yet the teachers who are holding the generations to come cannot be facilitated. They cannot be paid. Schools have to be again facilitated. It is no longer enough to give about 27,000 per student per term, or even per year from government. It's important that we expand access to education and constructively so access to quality education, that is how this country is going to become a better country. That is how this country will compete globally. And it's high time we further expanded free quality education from the time a person becomes of age that is required to start school or is capable of starting school, to when they stop, or to the highest levels, and including university. Education should be free to all, at all levels in this country. I thank you and I wish you a great week.